Yo, what's good, gang? Believe it or not, this video is unscripted, but the premises is simply I'm going to commentate a playthrough that I've had where I try and use basic game mechanics. So, firstly, I'm going to customize my character to look good, and then I'm going to use a bonfire aesthetic or whatever the hell, and then pick the explorer class because he or she has the most adaptability.
All people come.
True. So first up, go collect my human effigy, then go back downstairs after I take off my clothes and keep what's important, that is. Yup. Open the wrong door because I'm smart. Open the right door because I'm actually smart. Pick up a torch, and then we head our way to Majula, and that's pretty cool, I guess. Get this divine blessing. It will probably come in handy. Listen to the woman. And then light that bonfire. Collect this little life gem. Nice. Get that Estus Flask shard. While equipping the Estus Flask, you know how it is. And yeah, crank that soldier and look at the beautiful lighting. Nice. Light the bonfire down here and smoothly get past this enemy. Holy. Also, we're doing setup right now. I'm setting up for my build, just like Elden Ring, guys. This game's good. It's just like Elden Ring. I'm going to be doing a bit of setup. And that's really it for a minute. You can just walk past this guy if you didn't know, by the way. He's kind of chill. And this is our first boss fight. He is pretty menacing, but unfortunately, he just received the news that Elden Ring Night Rain is actually it's like a spin-off game, so he did that, you know what I mean? Anyway, punch the hell out of this woman, right? Basically, the strat here is to just knock her off the edge, because she will come back later to try and kill you. Also, she makes you pay for, like, summon a Majula. I don't care. Anyway, knock her off there. She ain't dead yet. You want to walk to this ledge, and she will come right up, pay you a little visit. Ain't that nice? Goodbye, I guess. And there's that little that thingy, the idle chime or whatever that was. Use all these souls and dump everything into adaptability. This game is good, I swear. Wait for this very fast door and do a little bit of platforming after getting the human effigy from here. Nice. Good. Wow, this guy's great. I put on a bit of armor because I'm going to be doing a bit of fighting here. Also, I should clear it up while I'm watching this gameplay, and I realized me just saying basic game mechanics didn't really clear it up. There are a few game mechanics in this game that people unanimously, including me, find kind of useless, and that's backstepping and power stancing. I was kind of like fighting this enemy, right? And I was like, this guy backsteps a lot, and that's kind of what I want to do. Yeah. And the whole point of this casual playthrough, it's going to be very casual, it's not going to be no mega powerful setup, is just to simply, just get through the game while kind of trying to play it, trying to play it the way the developers intended, you know what I mean? And there we go. And obviously I am, as you can tell, I'm just kind of figuring out the moveset, and I've learned that attacking after backstepping gives you a little lunge animation, so clearly the devs were cooking with the idea of it. Anyway, we buy the cell key for, not the cell key, we buy the blacksmith key, which will come in handy later. We pick up a hand axe, which will come in handy later. We'll Estus Flask and another divine blessing. Sweet. Level up, I guess, right? No, use my Estus shards, and then I just start incorporating my backsteps into gameplay a bit more. This guy's cool. Probably the most cinematic fight he'll ever get in his life. Yeah, I don't know. That was, good for him, I guess. And I'm gonna run through this area. So, this is usually a place of, I don't know, people don't like this area, mainly because of the two enemies to the left here, but all you gotta do is grab their aggro, run up this staircase, and collect this homeward bone. And then you can just literally jump over all of them, just like that. Which leaves the opening to the fog gate completely free and undangerous. That's the word, undangerous. Anyway, we're gonna walk past this guy who is completely useless. He doesn't do anything. Into our first boss fight, the last giant. And this goes just about as well as it could. Just very basic moveset, nothing too exciting. And get rid of him. I always wonder what the purpose of those guys are. Like, what's the purpose of the boss? And what's the purpose of this guy? Like, he actually does nothing. Like, he's like literally the most useless guy in the world. Anyway, we opened the blacksmith gate and pick up a short bow. Everyone should pick up this short bow. You'll see why. Anyway, dump everything into adaptability again. We're almost done. Gonna jump over here so we don't get poked in the ass. And we're on our way to the pursuer. And as we all know, there's a little funny thing with the pursuer where you can basically just insta-kill him. Also, because obviously I'm making a video and I haven't watched these cutscenes in a while of the bosses and stuff, I forgot how cool the pursuer's intro was. I mean, anyway, all you want to do is stand right here and then dodge, run to the ballista, and just mash A as fast as you can. And if everything goes well, you'll basically insta-kill him. Well, looks like we're gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way. That, yeah, I forgot. I recorded this a while ago. I forgot how little damage I was doing. But this is great, because now I actually get to test backstepping in an actual fighting environment. So one of the first things the pursuer has taught me during this little fight of ours was the pure amount of startup frames that backstepping has. So if you didn't know, rolling has startup frames, which means there's like a short period of time of vulnerability before you're invulnerable or invincible. And the same with backstepping, but the backstepping has a lot more startup frames. And this fight does make that clearer. Although I will say, the fight itself is just so clean and smooth, just as... By that I mean just like the way he was designed, that you don't feel too pressured. Like, it's fun backstepping, but like, you can react. And with a bit of whipping into shape, I guess you could say, the pursuer isn't too much of a challenge. But as you can see, it doesn't take too long for me to understand how to really just use backstepping. And I'm slowly starting to incorporate rolling. One of the biggest things when people try and backstep is they go, well, I'm going to backstep every attack. And it doesn't work that way. And it's something that I do struggle with during this playthrough. Anyway, this fight goes on for way too long, so I just pull out the hand axe that we picked up earlier. And even that's doing a little bit of damage, but, you know, better than literally the nothing I was doing before. And in typical Souls fashion, the bosses start doing, like, crazy stuff that you've, like, never gotten hit before. Gotten hit by before, but, you know, the boss is over. And I would say that's a good, that's a very good introductory to backstepping in a boss fight. But we're still in the setup phase. So as we can see, I got 42 adaptability. This means my iframes are not only and not only are the hitboxes better, right? But my iframes are even more than I think Dark Souls 3. I should probably check that. But if you have 42 adaptability, which is like the max, you have the most iframes out of any game, I believe. Here I'm just really reconsidering the reach of my weapon, and now I'm listening to the woman, paying attention, and collecting a few materials on the way, and roll off the map. But luckily, I don't do the same thing twice, except for when I do the same thing twice, which was so embarrassing the game actually panned away for me, which was nice, I guess. The reason I swapped to the axe is because I was really noticing the dagger's lack of damage, which is a shame because I'm not going to be swapping off the dagger. I will be using the axe only when my weapon equipment is about to break. But besides that, the dagger has quite a few flaws, which is currently range and damage. So we're going to upgrade it. Not the range, but the damage. We're also going to use that bonfire acidic that we chose at the start, so we can fight the last giant and die. So we're actually going to go fight the pursuer and hopefully do the ballista strat properly. And this is all still the startup, the setup phase, just so we can get a lot of souls. And after we kill the pursuer, who's now taking a lot of hits, we're gonna upgrade our vigor, so we can hopefully not instantly die to the last giant. And as we can see, that was a very smart choice. I barely survive. And bam, that's a lot of dosh. Anyway, look, it's Homeboy again. Mr. Useless. Anyway, just a nice little backstab. Usually sorts him out. Like I said, doesn't really do anything. And then we start putting our points into dexterity and endurance. And we go back to the tutorial area so we can complete our build and get our second dagger, allowing power stance. Sick. Just obviously testing out the moveset. Also, I'm going to try and stop saying Here, my brain starts ticking again. It will be a common trend where I struggle with overhead attacks. Anyway, we kill him because he drops a sublime bone dust. And these guys, normally I don't fight them because I pull the lever quick enough, but I didn't mind fighting them to learn my moveset. As I say R again. Anyway, Old Dragon Slayer. Good. So one of the first things I quickly learned was about lingering frames, which is just something that every Souls game has, where an attack will just last longer. And it looks like you dodge it, and I need to stop saying And what I took away from that is that there are just some attacks that simply need rolling. And some attacks that you can get away with backstepping with. So I really had two options. And it was to simply tighten up my backstepping game and react better, like here. Or I incorporate my rolling a bit more. And by the end, I do both. But it is weird feeling like you're playing the game for the first time again. Where you're relearning mechanics, and I mean first time. Not like, oh, I've played Dark Souls 1, and now I'm gonna play 2, 3, or Elden Ring or something, where it's kind of the same premise. This feels like I'm learning all over again. So we upgrade our Estus Flask so it gives us more healing per drink. And then we're also going to upgrade our levels, and we're going to consistently put everything into vigor and endurance and dexterity, and then we're going to listen to the woman again. Walk around, kill a few enemies, learning my moveset better. And I start to get the concept of where the power stancing comes in. Because if you didn't know, I did kind of touch on it earlier, the community kind of doesn't have a place for power stancing. It feels kind of overshadowed by like doing literally anything else. But I'll get into that later. It's actually after this boss fight, because it will come into play. But we're gonna make our way down to the ship, and if you get there early enough, the enemies haven't gotten into position. Like they've spawned, but they still need to like walk into position. So they'll just kind of like let you go through, which is, I don't know, kind of chill. And then obviously they'll start chasing you down again. So, like I kind of said with the last giant, the big question is, what is the game trying to teach you with, like, every boss fight? And with, the Century, it really feels like, initially, it really feels like the game is trying to get you to tighten up your backsteps. because they have so many multi-hit attacks. But in reality, and it's something that I learned way too late after fighting him again for a second time later on in the game, it's supposed to be backstep the guy with the two spiky sticks and roll the guy with the sword. The game devs specifically made it so one side is backsteppable and one side is rollable. But I didn't know that, so instead it just felt like a hard fight, just a normal hard fight. But it's good to know now. Anyway, I continue upgrading. Get a few S's, flask shards, and don't die here. Okay, I'll be honest. Normally these guys aren't a problem because I use the Ultra Greatsword and I cleave them all out in one hit in one go. I think using a dagger is it does have multiple weaknesses, including range and stuff, but also especially multiple enemies. And luckily I'm fighting a boss which is multiple enemies. So, a while ago, and I mean a while ago, I learned that the Ruined Sentinels aren't like a gank fight like many people thought. They, you know, everyone thinks, including me at the time, Ruined Sentinels are just unbalanced gank fights. It's just simply a DPS check. In reality, if you pass the DPS check, you're barely fighting even two of them at once. So after killing the first one, the next two start moving. And I light up my weapon with the gold resin pine, and I sit in the corner to get ready to hopefully annihilate the second guy. And that is literally worst case scenario. So now it is the gank fight that everyone was talking about. Instead of it being a one-on-one where you kill, you know, the other one in time, I now have to 1v2. And this is a painful and terrifying fight. Not because they're hard, but because I am purposefully trying not to just roll everything. Because rolling is safe, rolling is easy, rolling is comfortable. I've done it in every single game, so have you. But I really wanted to learn. And these guys were, I'll tell you what, these guys were on their A game. They weren't... Dark Souls 1 and 2 and 3 sometimes have a habit of having bosses just kind of walk around and do nothing. These guys, they weren't chilling. They really weren't chilling. And I was running out of heals quickly. I'm on 0 Estus Flasks. I'm on 4 gems left. And I've basically got one whole boss left and half a boss. I had to be smart and learn something really important. And that is, what is the purpose of power stancing? And I learned that power stancing has so much end lag that it's used for punishing. And I shouldn't just be swinging at enemies with my power stance, I should be light attacking. Otherwise you get punished like that. So I had 1 life gem left, and I had to use my brain and finally lock in and stop light attack. I had to start light attacking because I just don't have time to power stance. Power stance punish is what was going through my mind. Power stance punish. I finally get it down to a 1v1, and I wait for this guy's next move. And we're in the all clear to drink a Divine Blessing, which will heal us to full, but not instantly, as I almost die. But now it's just a one-on-one, and I'm confident. I'm kinda understanding the backstepping, and as you can see, I'm using my light attacks more than just flailing around with my power stance. But when I do power stance, I'm using it to punish them. And it's kind of giving power stance a reason to exist right now. But I guess we can just now, in silence, watch me in the critical moment, like One Piece. You know, shoutouts to One Piece enjoys. You know when Luffy's like, oh yeah, so you learn Haki the best when you're in like extreme danger, or like Ray Lee said that. It was that. I really locked in and I really learned what to do in the final moments when I was in the heat of death and the heat of danger. And I can't lie, this was the most fun I've had fighting these guys, which normally take 2 seconds. If you play them correctly and DPS check yourself, they die instantly. With this enemy, I try and confirm my suspicion. I spam light, well, power stance attacks, and I get punished. And then I just spam my R1s and heavy attacks, and I have enough iframes and, you know, the end lag isn't as bad. And I was starting to really understand power stancing and its place. Anyway, fun fact, do cool 360s on this elevator, you would literally never get hit. Go here, get a Sublime Bone Dust. And this is another place that people really dislike. And it's truly understandable. But all you gotta do, yet again, is go up on the staircase, leap, and pull this. I messed around getting the Sublime Bone Dust, but if you don't do that, these enemies won't hit you. But yeah, this horrible, treacherous area is completely overshadowed straight away with just that. So, the good old Lost Sinner, I really wanted this to be a one-on-one duel type thing, because from memory, she does a lot of backstepping, which is true. But she also does the old Dragon Slayer thing, which is having lots of lingering attacks that, if you dodge it initially with your backstep, will linger and get you killed. And this was very, very reminiscent of the Last Dragon Rider. It almost felt like an actual intimidating version of him. And if you remember correctly, the way I beat him, or the way I learnt the correct way to incorporate backstepping, is to not just backstep everything. Sometimes there is a boss where you're supposed to roll, and I think she's one of them. You can backstep a few attacks like that one, but it's always going to be better to roll out the way of her big swings that linger. Little small ones like that you can backstep over, but she can do big combos, and you simply just you're not fast enough to backstep, and you have to roll. And that's what I think the Lost Sinner teaches us. Anyway, because we punched that old lady to death, we get to go to the next area for free. And here I'm just kind of admiring all the fun little forest fellas. They're all just so goofy and good at their job. It's fine, I guess. They'll get there one day. I am really just admiring the flair of the animations though. This game really, really has great animations when bosses aren't just standing still and doing weird stuff. There's just so many cute little details. Here's our first NPC fight, which wasn't really much of a fight because she staggers with every hit basically. And then we get to do possibly one of the easiest bosses in the entire game. Almost in the franchise, Skeleton Lords. They're just complete jokes. You kill one big guy and then you kill his small guy, and that's literally it. All you have to do is just not be dumb, take it one at a time. And keep in mind, I'm using a little crappy dagger as well, so imagine using like an actual weapon that's half decent. Obviously, magic is still magic. It's so unthreatening to the point where I'm not even keeping an eye out for that guy's magic. The whole point is that you're supposed to get overwhelmed and be like, oh, where's the big guy? But it's just not. It's just not a threat. Like, directly hit, and I just couldn't care less. Anyway. I guess it's chill. A nice, easy experience. I am definitely feeling myself, though, with the backstepping now. And like I said, it's very nice being almost nostalgic of a game. And not nostalgic as in like, oh my god, Dark Souls 2, blah, 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 blah. Because I played it when I was a kid. I really am just learning the game again. And it's so strange. It's such a strange feeling. Anyway, listen to the woman yet again. Pay attention, guys. Listen up. And then Revenge of the Goddamn Skeletons, I guess. As they just ruined my day completely. And then Dark Magic. I guess skeletons and magic are a lot more dangerous in this specific area, I guess, than the actual boss fight. Pull the lever and just simply drop down. You don't even gotta fight any of those guys. I guess they're cool, I guess. And then there are some big green guys, and their whole thing is that overhead attacks aren't backsteppable, you have to dodge completely. And I'll be thinking about that. This will be in my mind a lot, that whole concept. Because there is still that lingering question about overhead attacks. Anyway, we're gonna put on a Divine Blessing in our inventory because we're gonna get poisoned to get an Estus Shard Flask. And then I unequip it, but I mash out of it too fast and I die. Whatever, I guess. But the stupidity doesn't end there as I trap myself here. And this just goes as completely expected. There's no way around this. Timed with the music and everything. Oh my god, guys, a boss fight. And I hope you enjoyed that boss fight. Listen to the woman. Pay attention, guys. Good. Story downloaded. And then I just have a good old time learning the range of some of my attacks. Light the bonfire. Use the bonfire to obviously burn that down. Obviously, right? And then there's a woman here who's, you know, dressed for the occasion. Beats my ass and, you know, that's how it goes, I guess. Another NPC fight. He's kind of chill, so I let him live. And get the secret bonfire. If you didn't know the secret bonfire here, there's a secret bonfire here. Congratulations. I'm gonna drop down and run in between these guys. And we're home free into the next boss. So Mitha, the Baneful Queen. Another Lost Sinner type situation where rolling... It's not that it's the best option, but it's more that the devs intended for it to be more of the only option. There's a few things you can backstep, but there's more things that you have to roll, such as big spinny attacks. Nothing crazy, a very tame fight. Myth is not difficult in any way, shape, or form, so she will go down easy. And I do end this fight with a backstep into a roll into a punish with the power stance, so it kind of is all flowing really beautifully now. So yet again, another absolutely hated place, and I get it. It's a cool area, but the enemy placements aren't favored by people, which is fair. Arrows and a few enemies, but simply, really just one by one take them out. Lead a few enemies. AI is really dumb. Take advantage of it, I guess. And simply, I didn't even fight that guy that I cut away from. I just ran past him. And then I gave that guy a little hug and entered the wall, the fog gate, sorry. And I didn't even get hit there, and I did that horribly. Anyway, Smelt a Demon. 30, what was that? Almost 14 damage a hit. So there is something really important, as you're about to see. That little dodge roll at the end. And when I saw that happen, everything kind of clicked for me. I did swap to the axe here because this fight was going on for about 8 minutes and I was getting nowhere. But what I really noticed, and just there as well, is that dodge rolling is in the name. Dodge rolling. It shouldn't really be used for getting to places besides maybe behind an enemy to get an attack, maybe. But it has such little startup frames that it is supposed to be an escape. And this is something that will completely alter the way I feel about this game with that mindset. And here I just kind of poke the enemy for a while. And it's not, I'm not showing you this just because it's funny to look at, I guess. It's because I'm learning. Why is this guy's overhead attack so much easier to beat than everyone else's overhead attack? And so many things are now going through my head at once. What does everything mean? And I'm about to come up to a pre-recorded bit of dialogue. As in, like what I'm doing now, voiceover. I've already recorded one section because I was really passionate. It was like right off the rip, right after I beat the game. And it's coming up right here. So listen to past me talk because he's about to spit some facts, so literally pay attention. Now, I did die to an overhead attack, which was my fault because I rolled really poorly, but during this gameplay that you're watching at 2000% speed, I realized something. The correlation between when you can backstep an overhead attack and when you have to roll. And the answer was simple, all the way from the big hammer guys with their AoE versus the little iron guys with no AoE. It was all determining how threatening they are. My theory was simple. What if the game developers were making a game where you instinctively want to backstep to dodge a sword attack so you can engage quickly, but if you're going up against a big, ginormous, powerful monster, or a big threatening weapon, you would want to roll out the way. And luckily enough, the next boss I was about to fight is a giant scary enemy who is considered really lame by the community because of how important and canonically powerful he is, but is really easy to beat because you just roll. And after that pursuer fight, which took so long, I really put my mind in the mindset of the developers. What if you were making a game, and I know I said this, but I'm just harping on it, a game where you're supposed to duel your enemies with backsteps, but then you have to dodge out the way of big scary monsters. If we had that mindset during the entirety of Dark Souls 2, where we were backstepping and not rolling against everything, it would make bosses where you're like conditioned and needed to roll more threatening. Because the idea of it is that you can't backstep out the way, you need to dodge. And sure enough, it looked like I was correct. There's about one move he does which you can backstep safely, but the rest have an AoE shockwave attack that you need to roll out the way of. And all of a sudden, with this mindset of big scary monster equals roll away, big scary weapon equals roll away, but small fighting duels is backstepping and engaging, the big scary old Iron King monster is once again what I assumed the developers wanted, a big scary monster that you had to more run away from. And it was really interesting because I have so many hours in this game and I just roll everything. Much like everyone else, I just roll past the attacks and everything feels non-threatening. This big giant monster feels like a non-threat, but all of a sudden when I've been backstepping for so many hours and now I'm rolling every attack, it feels like he has the advantage and I'm truly up against a giant creature. And to put it simply, I think the game developers truly thought that dodge rolling was a disengaging tool or an emergency option, while backstepping was an engaging option. Which means if you're fighting a boss where you can only roll to dodge, in the developer's mind, that means you're only disengaging out of like fear almost, like you have to respect them. But we took it the wrong way. We just thought that this boss was like just really easy to roll against. And this makes things like the overhead attacks more understandable where they're harder to dodge. If you do this challenge yourself, you will realize that specifically overhead attacks are harder to backstep out of. Almost like the game developers were like, hey, well, if this was real life, if someone's doing an overhead attack on you, you'd want to roll out the way and not just like backstep. I don't know if this has all happened because I went insane fighting the pursuer for 20 minutes straight, but I'm telling you, something is very different about this game that we didn't recognize. Hey, I'm back. That weird whack job is gone now. Anyway, we go to the DLC to pick up the dexterity ring, which is the equivalent of damage for me. And then we go over here and unlock the door where a lot of enemies spawn. And honestly, I feel like there's absolutely no way to play around it. Honestly, like, I don't know. Like, it's a horribly designed room with no way to beat it. Anyway, we get the boss fight. We get the bonfire, and we enter another boring. I'm gonna say boring fight. I think for its time, this was kind of cool, maybe. But I'm a bit of a duelist enjoyer. I like fighting things like creatures that are humanoid enough where it feels like a duel. A boss like that just kind of feels meh. Like all of Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring. Anyway, I fight this guy who is just kind of chill. That was a joke, by the way. Please don't. It's kind of a joke. Actually, you know what? Do whatever you want with that statement. I fight these guys. They're all pretty chill. The whole reason I'm showing this is that I'm kind of getting better with the daggers and the range, so multiple small enemies aren't dangerous. And then Congregation and Malgus, or Prowling, or whoever, actually pretty, not hard, but they put up a fight. And then I just shank this guy to death. I don't know, it's just really visceral, that one. Anyway, actually watch my brain not function. There's a bonfire over here, and something in my neurons just told me not to go for it. So here I am, all the way at the end of nearly the entire area with 2 Estus Flasks left, fighting an NPC, a bunch of enemies behind me, using nearly all of my life gems up, all of my remaining Estus Flasks, and I've still got more to do. So I guess I kind of put the stakes on myself to not die here, because otherwise I have a long way back. But yeah, this is it is looking bad. And my dagger's also about to break. So I'm going into this fight very limited. That whole big spiel I had about the old Iron King and how, oh, we weren't respecting him because we didn't know how to, we weren't doing the right things, you know. All of that gushing that I did about that boss, don't apply that to this one. This boss is just a gimmick through and through. But with that being said, the fight in this playthrough was enjoyable as my dagger was about to break. And I was taking quite a lot of hits. And sure enough, towards the end of the fight, I had basically no flasks left. My dagger did break. And on top of that, she spawned another spider. And anyone that's played any Dark Souls 2 boss, it knows that it can go very well until it doesn't. And you'll see very soon that I almost get the kill and she survives on one hit, but I just barely take her out. And that little spider just did like nearly half of my remaining health. If I got comboed into another hit, it was over. But the fight isn't over, actually. I still gotta not only take out the guy at the end of this hallway, but I also have to take out Radahn. Consort Radahn Phase 1. Has anyone seen... There's this really cool video that compares this enemy I'm about to fight after this guy. And this guy right here, he actually has... Well, Consort Radahn from Elden Ring DLC has a lot of moves from this guy. Which is cool. But canonically, he's a really powerful fighter, and it shows. But I guess I'm more of a powerful fighter. I guess I'm I'm way more powerful than him, so I take him out pretty easily. And yeah, with no healing and half a dagger left, we kill him. And I get the cat's eye ring, and I do a bit of chill parkour. And depending on what rings you collected as a kid, what type of currency you collected as a kid, determines how fast you go through this little well here. Because I collected coins and not rings, I'm more confident in my abilities to drop down without caring as much. But if you collected rings instead of coins, you're probably a lot more fearful and take it slower, but you know, that's just how it goes. And just like that, we're in, safe and sound. Although, usually I have a plan with the gutter and I know how to get through it. Instead, I have a horrific, traumatic journey instead, and I'm just going to pretend it never happened, and that's really how you should play the gutter in this game. Well, and then there's the Gulch, and the Gulch is actually decently simple. My best advice for it is stay mainly towards the center, and if you're going past a statue, just roll. And that's really all the advice you can get. And you should make it pretty unscathed. And if you do get poisoned like me, there's actually a little tip. You can watch the cutscene and the poison will actually deplete without doing damage to you, so you don't actually take damage and die. Anyway, I have good news about the Rodden. Everything that crazy guy was talking about with the Old Iron King applies to the Rodden, who was also, by the community, coined as a lame boss considering how important and strong he's supposed to be. But the same rules applied. He had big overhead attacks that backstepping wasn't really viable, and dodging was smarter and would make more sense. And he did have a few backstepping attacks, but mainly you wanted to dodge and almost respect the idea that you're fighting a giant monster, again, like the crazy guy said. And just like that, it is an easy fight, but it is a lot more engaging. Anyway, the funny tree speaks to me, and I obviously listen and pay attention to him. And here we get mandatory castle shot. Beautiful. I don't want to be biased, but you know, whatever. I think it's the best castle shot. And then these elephants are sick, and then I get lobotomized, and all of a sudden I feel like Sonic is a good gaming franchise. So, a cool thing about these enemies is that they're actually really fun to fight one-on-one, but you, at least in the base version of this game, you practically only fight them like twice. And one of them's like here where you have to do 2-on-1. And then nothing too crazy happens. I just get the bonfire and enter the Dragon Rider fight and legitimately fight him. And I just want you to really pay attention to my gameplay here and just look at how everything has started to really come together. Everything from timing and not getting greedy with the power stancing and using R2s and taking advantage of things and backstepping and rolling at the right times. The game has truly, at this point for me, transformed. And I know it looks very tame right now, to you. But I guarantee you, if you have the controller in your hands and you're doing what I'm doing, the game truly, and I mean this legitimately, and I'm not biased, not anything, the game feels absolutely amazing while doing this challenge. And I'm sure you can tell, but I'm genuinely having a great time. Like, and I mean truly a great time, playing Dark Souls 2 of all things. Anyway, I climb up this very boring ladder, as we all know, and I die as I get the soul into this monster golem guy. But then he like doesn't activate, which is a shame. And then I respawn, obviously, and I climb up the ladder, but then I hear this sound, which is the sound of the golem activating. And then, like, nothing happens, and I'm like, well, I guess I'll climb the ladder again if nothing's gonna happen. And then, as soon as I get halfway up the ladder, it starts moving. I'm like, oh, alright, I guess I gotta go back down again. So I go all the way back down, and all the way back up. Awesome. Get the key, and then homeward burn out of there, because you don't need to do this 4 times, just... you know, get out of there. And then this guy thinks he's the main character, but joke's on him. The actual main character is Looking Glass Knight. And I have to be 100% honest here. You thought I was glazing the Dragon Riders for some reason? Looking Glass Knight is almost like a test. He will test your backstep timing. He will test your knowledge on how tight your backsteps are. He'll test your knowledge on when you should be rolling instead of backstepping. He'll test your knowledge on when you can punish and when you can't punish. He is literally a test. And I'm not going to show the entire fight, but I could easily show you the entire fight. Because it's truly a... it really feels like the game devs were like, okay, well, this is basically the end of the game now. I hope you've learnt everything. And I truly have, I feel. Obviously, I could get better at it all, but I truly felt like I passed the test. Anyway, we're going to keep the boss music rolling because we've entered the final boss of the game, which is just this entire area. And I'm actually joking. This place is kind of a pushover. And don't get me wrong, I'm never in my entire life going to argue that this place is well designed. It is not. This place is objectively trash and horrible. But there are ways to deal with it. And that bow we picked up at the very start is how we're going to deal with it. We're just going to press the RT trigger like 5 times and then do it again to this one over here who is out of aggro range, so you can just do it for free. And then once you've killed her, you aggro these 2 guys and don't lose the fight. And that's literally it. If you're in danger, you can maybe shoot the other one over here who also isn't shooting you. But this horrible area, which sucks ass and no one likes because it is, I repeat, it is horrible, it can be dealt with very easily and very quickly and very efficiently and without going out of your way to really do anything. So just, you know, do it. My best advice is do it. If you're here, just do it instead of complaining. Shoot the guys and it's done. I'm not saying it gives the devs an excuse for designing it that way, but it is how you do it. Anyway, Demon of Song goes the way it usually does, which is really easily until he hits you with one move that almost kills you entirely. But besides that, pretty chill. Anyway, tree jump scare, and obviously listen to him. Paid attention to the story. Get poked by this guy, mandatory in every playthrough apparently. I can never dodge him. And then these guys let me through because they're nice and polite. And somehow I managed to pick every incorrect option and every dead end. And I don't know how. Anyway, we go over here, get the shortcut, which I probably won't need to use. Go down here, kill this guy so he doesn't hit the bell, because I'm gonna do it apparently. That is my job. But I feel like I could handle this. I couldn't handle it. It went bad. Luckily, we did the shortcut, and we're fighting Velstadt. I described the Looking Glass Knight as a test. And if Looking Glass Knight is a test, Velstadt is the reward for passing. This boss flows so unbelievably well with everything I've learned throughout this playthrough that this boss alone almost confirms all of my suspicions about how we were supposed to be playing this game. Now, obviously I died just there, but I'm kind of going to go silent for a minute, and I want you to just watch the gameplay, and it will speak for itself. And I'm going to remind you again, like I said in the Dragon Riders fight, imagine if you were doing this. You were the one backstepping, learning the boss almost for the first time again. It is truly an empowering experience. So I'm just going to let the gameplay speak for itself. And yeah, not bad considering that this is the slow, stinky game that doesn't flow good or whatever. Anyway, I get to the king and he makes a scary beeline towards me, which is unusual, but, you know, just avoid that big sword, yeah. Pick up the thing that lets me open all the big king's doors, and we open a king's door, which takes, I'd say, about 20 seconds too long, but maybe I'm just impatient. We run through the mansion and look at all the test subjects into a dragon fight, which is my least favorite thing in any Souls game. I do not like any Souls dragon experience ever. There's not one thing I like about the dragon fights in any of them. I don't care. I've seen all of them. I hate all of them. I want all of them to die and never exist. I'm not showing the fight out of pure, I don't know. What's the word? What's the word when you're just being a douche? But I'm doing that because I hate dragons. Speaking of, I'm talking to a big dragon, and this guy isn't supposed to attack you if you're past that little brown line, and he just completely ignores the laws of the game, and just like backs up like he didn't do anything. And then as soon as I step out of the safe zone, he attacks me. Like, what? Literally, what was that? And then on my way to the last giant, I didn't die, so I don't know what that's doing there. And then the Giant Lord fight was just as fun as it always is. It's mainly a fight with the camera. And then we're almost done, because we go to Throne Watcher and Throne Defender. And I can't lie, I was really demoralized here. The pure amount of attacks that I'm dealing with and the very little amount of damage I'm doing, it made me really want to not do this alone, as in use summons. But I was like, you know what, I've come all this way. I've done it fair and square the entire way through. And a lot of this fight was me trying to understand what to do here. And not as in like there's some sort of secret technique that I haven't known, like that no one knows about and there's like a secret way to beat the boss. Just simply like, how can I compete here? Because realistically, I haven't upgraded a lot of strength. I'm very bare minimum here. I'm beating the game as casually and as shortly as possible without speed running, basically. And I kind of learn, not quickly, but at some point, to literally just stay composed. There's no secret. Also, shoutouts to the Throne Watcher doing the one move I've never seen before, which is cool. But yeah, these guys throw out a lot of attacks, but they do leave themselves open quite often. And the biggest strat is to stay composed and just literally attack. This game isn't like Elden Ring where you never get a chance. It is 24/7 full of openings, and you just have to be not dumb about taking them. So, with that being said, I'm not dumb. I don't spam attacks that get me killed. And it's a pretty decent free win. A lot of rolling during this fight, obviously. You're not going to be able to do quick back steps out of a million hits, but it has its place here. But the Throne Watcher almost goes down as she does her AoE attack again for the second time, which, you know, is always the second time for something. Backstep the Throne Defender, backstep her, and kill them both with a power stancing attack. A very poetic way to finish this game. But wait, the game's not finished. Nassandra, the secret final boss. Bit of a miss from Bandai Namco with this one. The fight's not even anything anyway, but whatever. Whatever. No, it's not. It's a whatever fight. It truly is kind of a, you know, final boss fight letdown, and even Audio is as well. It's whatever. But anyway, the game is done, and history changed because of this video? No. No one's gonna watch it, no one's gonna stick around long enough to see everything, and no one's even gonna play the game with my idea of how to play it. But if you are here with me now, and you've come all this way, I want you to play the game like this. And I want you to see how enjoyable it is. It is truly a different experience. And do we owe Dark Souls 2 an apology? I'm going to say yes after my playthrough, but, you know, it's up to you.